Welcome to Mission to Inspire with Shola Ajibade, where inspiration, purpose, and abundance come alive. Together, we'll empower lasting change, helping you step boldly into your greatest potential. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Mission to Inspire. I've got Jeremy here with me today, and he's going to be talking about starting business, solo business, entrepreneurship, things like that, being a business owner. He's also a coach, he's a mentor, he's an expertise in software technology. So I'm going to leave it to you, Jeremy, if you can tell us more about you so that we can get to know you more.
Super. I appreciate you inviting me to be on the show. So for our listeners who, are curious about getting started in their own business or growing, it's something I've done myself and have helped many others to do as well. So my first real business was really during school and childhood. And when I say real business, I mean like with multiple clients, a team, and so on. I've been building businesses for over 25 years now and helping others to do the same. And all of those have been in the service of fellow entrepreneurs and helping them to move towards what I call entrepreneurial freedom.
Wow. Wow. What a journey. Thank you so much for coming on our show today. We really appreciate you. And we are so sure that we're going to learn from you today. I mean, that's why you're here, to inspire us and to learn. Give us some tips.
For sure.
Okay. Yeah.
So when we talk about entrepreneurial freedom, some people think we're talking about like financial freedom, but it's really so much more than that. Entrepreneurial freedom is one of the best things that comes from having your own business. And that means you have the freedom of choice on how you spend your time and what you do during that time. That could be reinvesting that time in your business. It could be spending that time with family, friends, and loved ones, giving back in your community, doing nonprofit work, starting new businesses, pursuing hobbies. It means you have the choice in how you spend that time. And that comes from having a cash flow income producing business.
Yeah, that is really true. That's really true. So from your own perspective, are you a solopreneur, or how would you categorize yourself?
No, the last time I was a solopreneur was really back, in high school. Once I started building out a team, I realized the power that can come from having a combination of people and systems. That's what truly allows you to scale, and that's what allows you to move from being just self-employed or a solopreneur to being a true business owner. The real litmus test to see if you're a solopreneur or self-employed versus a business owner is to imagine stepping away from your business. How long could you step away from your business before it turns into a dumpster fire of a business or goes out of business? For some folks, it's not even one day. For others, maybe it's a few days. But once you can step away from your business for weeks to months at a time, you now have an income producing asset. You have a true business run by people and systems such that your business can stay the same or ideally even grow in your absence.
That's true. That's true. Wow. Thank you so much for giving us that distinct difference between being an entrepreneur, a business owner, and the solo entrepreneurship. Thank you so much. So, can you share a moment in your career that transformed the way you approach mentoring and coaching? Because I know you do mentoring and coaching amidst your business.
So I look at some of those pivotal moments in my career and my businesses. And I'll never forget when my wife and I first met. We were out on one of our earlier dates, and I was sitting there across the table from this amazing woman who I was getting to know. And I kept glancing over at my cell phone. And I realized that clients could call me or send a text message or in some way need me, and I wanted to make sure I was there for them. And I had this moment of clarity of wondering, like, why is my mind half there when here I am outside, quote, business hours, getting to know someone who, little did I know at the time, would go on to be my wife, mother of our kids, partner in life, and everything. And I realized that it didn't have to be that way, that I could actually have a life outside of my business. So that was a pretty pivotal moment that I, retrained clients that after hours I wasn't available, and that I would get back to them the next morning. And as I built out a team that was able to be there and start handling things for me as well, that, me being offline time expanded from just outside of business hours to other days and sometimes weeks and more beyond that. So when I work with a lot of my clients and mentor folks over the years, one of the first things we look at is what parts of the business are blocking on them. What are the things that the business can't do without you as the business owner? And we have a whole process we go through to figure out what systems we can create and who the right people are to bring onto your team to execute those systems for you. This allows you to have a business that can run and or grow even without you there for the day to day.
Wow, wow. Thank you so much for sharing. Oh my God. That is so true. Thank you so much. So that was how you were able to start your coaching and mentoring?
Yeah, it's funny if you talk to coaches and mentors. What usually happens is you see success in some way one time, and then you start to see that multiple times, and you realize it wasn't just a fluke, but there actually might be a process or a system there. And
Mhm.
then invariably, people start asking you how they can get a similar result that you're
Yeah,
seeing in your life or your business.
yeah,
And next thing you know, you're helping others to achieve a similar.
that's true. That's just all about helping people. Thank you so much. What hidden opportunities have you discovered in small businesses that can significantly increase their profitability?
Oh my gosh. So, first of all, once we start thinking about the systems and people, that's a really big block that business owners can get past. But
Mm,
if we zoom out and look at longer term where your business can go, there's only three directions your business can go over time. And only one of them is really a good outcome that we want, right? And that is that you build a business and you sell it. The other two options, they exist, and that's where most businesses go, but we want to be in that last category. So, how do you create a business that can produce income for you and that you can sell for a profit? Well, that comes down again to having the right systems in place and the right people to help you run that. Beyond that, in terms of other tips and strategies, we want to be spending our time doing the work on the business. That's in contrast to the work in the business. And so when we surround ourselves with right like-minded individuals who are on a similar entrepreneurial journey as we're on, that's where we can start to uncover the blind spots in our own business, and we can find out the right strategies to use so that we can spend our time wisely when we work on our business. That lets us truly grow and get past those plateaus we so often see in business.
wow. Thank you so much. Wow. Hmm. That's really, that's clarity there. Thank you so much. How do you help entrepreneurs find the balance between working in their business versus on their business? Exactly what you just said anyway.
Yeah, so
Just
most of us,
elaborate
when we
on
start
that.
our business,
Yeah.
our day to day is the work in the business, right? The work of the business, right? So if you're working at a plumbing company and you decide to open your own business as a plumber, you're mostly doing the work of plumbing, right? But what a lot of us realize as the technician in the business is there's so much more to having a business than just that work of the business.
That's true.
Suddenly, when you go from being an employee doing the work to having your own business doing that same thing, you
Yeah.
need to take care of sales, you need to take care of marketing,
Mm,
payroll,
yeah.
accounting, bookkeeping,
Mm,
all the things that are involved in running a business
yeah.
beyond just the work of the business.
Business, yeah.
So when we look to scale and grow beyond that, we want to be intentional about blocking time on our calendar to do that work on the business so that our time is less of the work in the business. That is creating systems, hiring, managing, and bringing on either employees, team members, or outsourced, companies to do the things we need. So for example, for many solopreneurs, one of the first hires you make is bringing on a bookkeeper, right? This is a part-time outsourced person to help you with reconciling your books, right? Taking care of payroll, paying your vendors, and doing all these things that are needed in your business on the financial side, right? A second most common hire people make is like frontline support or an administrative assistant to field incoming phone calls, get back to customers, and do those kinds of things.
Mm,
Those are those lower level tasks that us as the business owners don't need to be doing, right? That lets us do the work on the business, like hiring for those roles, creating the job descriptions of those roles, interviewing and managing the folks in those roles, and so on. And so the more of the work we do on the business with the visionary work of where we want to go as a business and the implementation work to help us get there, the more the business can truly grow without depending on us putting in the hours in the business as the technician.
right. Wow. Thank you so much for that. What advice would you give to aspiring entrepreneurs out there who are struggling to break free from the grind and achieve the freedom that they desire?
Oh my goodness. So often, entrepreneurs hit a number of common roadblocks, and these are thankfully mostly mindset related, right? So when we shift the mindset, we can get unstuck, right? We can move from being that solopreneur who's built a prison around themselves of a business to a true business owner that's found freedom from having the business, right? So one of those mindset blocks is this idea that you have to do everything. If
Mm.
you look at any successful business, it's not built around that one person who does everything, right?
Mhm.
Any business that's truly scaled has found a way to systematize the result you want and train others to get a similar result. So when we
Yeah.
create a system, it can go one of three different ways, right? The one way we want it to go is that somebody running your system gets the outcome that you want, right? They get that defined measurement of success. Every scaled built business out there has done this, and you can too. So be mindful that the perfectionist mindset and the unicorn mindset, there's no one else like you who can get the same result in the same way, is a self-limiting belief. Okay.
Mm.
The
Mm.
second big mindset shift that we see from scaling and building out your business is that if someone sees how you run your business, they're just going to take your ideas and run with it and do their own thing and compete against you. So if that's one of your concerns or worries, be mindful that one, most folks out there are looking for employment. They want a job, a paycheck, a well-defined measurement of success, and not the stresses and unpredictability of running and owning their own business. So
Yeah.
you're going to find most of the world would rather work for you than work against you, right?
That's good.
Secondly, for the entrepreneurs out there who are self-starters that you do hire, yes, they may go out there and start their own business, and they might try and compete against you. But remember earlier we talked about that technician who goes out and starts their own business? Many
Mhm.
folks don't realize that when they start their own business, it's actually quite challenging, right? You've seen this yourself, our listeners who have businesses. So the technician who goes and hangs their own shingle will run into all those same roadblocks and challenges and realize they need to do all the things in the business that aren't just the work they were hired to do. And that one system you trained them on in your business is not the whole business. So
Yeah.
it's even more rare that they'll see success and outcompete you. And in the rare case they do, it's generally not a problem. There's many opportunities for co-opetition versus competition.
Wow. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. That is so true. That's so true. I mean, a lot of business owners actually think that way. There was this business owner who was I paid to help me do something about systemizing my um, property business. And I told him that I like the system is using and I like to establish myself in the same way sometimes in the future and do the same for my community. And he was so mad. He was so angry. He was like, oh, he's gonna send me what was it? Something to sign, non-disclosure or something like that. That I can't I can't do that. Oh my God. And that was it. I didn't do business with him.
Yeah, yep, that's probably a good move.
Goodness. Thank you so much for sharing. For people that want to contact you, how can they?
Yeah, you can find us over at bayareamastermind.com. That's where you can find out all about what a mastermind is, how to find a mastermind group near you, how to start a mastermind group, how to run mastermind hot seats, and so much more. And we have a simple test drive process that if you're interested in seeing what a mastermind is like firsthand, we invite you to apply to a mastermind test drive. And you get to experience all the benefits of a mastermind in a full day of working on your business, as opposed to what most of us are used to, which is the day-to-day work in our business. And that's all at bayareamastermind.com.
Wow. Thank you so much for coming on our show today. Any last minute inspirational advice for people out there?
Entrepreneurial freedom is more attainable than many of us realize, but we've got to put in the work on our business to get there. And we've done this before. We can do it again. You can be surrounded by folks who've done it again and again as serial entrepreneurs. But the first step is making sure you start your business. The second step is making sure you get out of your own way and let the business build and grow. And you can spend your time working on the business so you don't have to do any of the work in the business.
Thank you. Thank you so much for coming on our show today. And until next time, it's Shola and Jeremy on mission to inspire. And oh, I hope that we've actually inspired you to start your own business or work on your business rather than work in your business.
Exactly, Sheila. Thanks for having me on. This was fun.
Thank you so much for coming. And I'll be sharing Jeremy's contact details in the description so that you guys can contact him. Thank you so much for joining us, Jeremy. Bye, everyone.